Club show. So great afternoon and welcome to the Writers Club and the KulFlix channel's first annual Martin Luther King Day celebration. And our first set of distinguished writers, today they each have a half an hour to share their work with you and to respond in real time to your questions and ideas, okay? So we are here to celebrate Dr. King's spirit and life's mission through the contemporary work of 8 currently published authors who have been curated because they embody the spirit of Dr. King and his contemporaries, and all who perceive the following in him to this day. Our collaboration, we allow artists to celebrate their identity with integrity and in an atmosphere of true inclusion. So welcome to today's program and welcome to the Writers Club, sponsored by Elements Media Network and the KulFlix channel. I am your host, Brion Cabre, and Miss Bella Bell. So.
Hi. Welcome everybody. Welcome to our first annual Writers Club. I'm Miss Bella Bell, so log in and watch us live. Right now I'm gonna introduce our next writer. He's from Atlanta, Georgia, Robert A. Davis. Welcome, Mr. Davis.
Greetings, sisters, brothers. How are you? Can you hear me?
I'm doing well, thank you, Mr. Davis. Yes, we can hear you. You have the floor now.
All right. Well, originally I'm from Philadelphia, born and raised, but I'm based in Atlanta. I've been there for a few years to pursue some acting and some other ventures, and to just connect with family, and also to birth this new this previous project that I've just launched in 2018 called the Soul Project, which comes from the book Soul, Seeking Opportunities to Win, which is basically a self-empowerment book. It's something that gets people centered, and at this point now, which ironically we're experiencing this whole COVID pandemic mess where everything is just combobulated and everybody's trying to find their center, trying to find themselves. So it's basically trying to get people to look past what is before them to see what is beyond them. Because you look at right now where everybody is, you know, with the layoffs, with the firing, with the sicknesses, with the illnesses, with the deaths, with the people losing their homes. People don't know where their next meal is coming from. Strains on relationships, even people's relationships with the church, their religious and spiritual bases have been shooken, and especially their churches, which was one of their strong foundations. They don't have that to rely on anymore. So people are asking, okay, what am I to do now? As opposed to getting us away from looking at everything outwardly, you know, it's about stop looking outward for income, and it's about start looking inward for outcome. So, well, I don't know the format, but I'll go on, and what I like to do, I'd like to read a poem, which it says, just imagine how your life would be if you learn to let go and let yourself be free. Just imagine how your life would turn out if you let go of fear and released all your doubts. Just imagine all the pain inside if you took it off life support and you let it all die. Along with the hurt, the sorrow, the unease that keeps you choked up, release it. Now breathe. Remember when they told you that you weren't good enough, that you didn't have what it takes, you didn't possess the right stuff? The truth of the matter is that they had no clue that you had everything you needed for you to be and do inside you. Now just imagine, I dare you try, discard disappointments and embrace a truth for every lie. I know they hurt you with promises unkept, with those I love you forevers somehow vanished and left. I know you cried a million tears. You thought you would die, but guess what? You're still here. Now look at yourself and smile. Now just imagine. And that, I believe, speaks to where everyone is right now. Because one of the saddest things I dealt with, my background is dealing in human services. I did a lot of work with the homeless, those who are recovering from drug addiction, those who are dealing with medical issues. I work with mentally, physically, and intellectually disabled individuals. And one of the key factors that was a common thread with all those individuals in those groups were they were at a point where somehow their life was at a catastrophic moment, whether it was by their own hand or by some other entity, some other force that was cast upon them. And many of us got to that point because a lot of us were living a life of illusion. Most of us grew up with our families telling us, this is where we should go, this is who we should be, this is the profession we should embrace. Or we're like a father, or we're like a mother, or someone seen a certain talent or something in us, and they kind of harped on that and encouraged that. And it drove us and it navigated us into a direction that really wasn't meant for us to live or to go. And that's why a lot of us are operating in a fashion that is unhealthy because it's unfulfilling. Everybody, has been talking about, I'm living my best life. But are you really living your true life? If you asked everybody in secret and quiet, that answer would never get revealed to anyone else, if they could change their life or if they live in the life that they really want to live, I'm guaranteed more than 90% would say no. Because we're used to surviving. And within that, we're used to making ourselves comfortable and learning how to just adapt to get through and to get along. And that's why most of us aren't shining. Most of us aren't really bearing fruit. We're not able to really sow. We're not able to give anything to anybody to add to our really add to our families, to add to our communities, or to add to our societies, because we're not whole within ourselves. And only can a whole pure fruit, a whole pure seed be implanted to create and build like-minded fruit or likewise fruit. So a lot of people that I've met and dealt with have been trying to figure out, okay, you know what? I'm getting back to me. I've lived my life for so many years. I've worked in this profession for so long, and people are just trying to figure out how to find their way. So what SOW does, it basically tells you that in all things, great, small, good, bad, and indifferent, we must seek to find within them all the elements that will grant us the opportunity to position ourselves to win. And when you look at the situation, a lot of times we'll take a fall even after we've had a good plan, we did what we were supposed to do, or like I said, just something happened. Say you're a woman and you've been happily married for 15, 20 years. Then all of a sudden your husband decides to up and do whatever and wants a divorce. Now you're left holding the bag. You're trying to figure out, okay, what do I do now? He's been taking care of everything. Not that I was incapable, but I didn't have to do it. So now how do I access all these facilities and faculties within me to be able to do and be what I need to become for my life? So once we figure out, okay, this is where I am, this is what's happening to me, we have to look at it honestly. We have to look at it with a whole heart and truthfully. It might be ugly. But it's not about that. It's about, okay, where do you go from there? But what we're doing is we're looking at our environment. We're looking at the wreckage and seeing, okay, what is there valuable? What is there that I can use, that I can recycle, I can add to my life to build on? Whether it's a certain person, place, or thing, an idea, or a thought, or vision, or a plan, or you know, some sort of business. What can I do? Is it a total loss, or is it something that can be salvaged? And then you find those salvageable parts, and then you reuse them and reconstruct and reconfigure, and you recalibrate your GPS, your goals, your purpose, and your shift, therefore to create a greater path, a greater direction, and to give you a greater perspective. Because once you change how you look at a thing, you change what you see. And sometimes it's just about stepping back, stepping up, or moving to the side, or getting at a different view, a vantage point, to see the circumstances in which we find ourselves in, to understand how and what we need to do to move forward and to create a better life for ourselves. And therefore we can add value to what we're doing, to everything we're connected to, our relationships concerning our family, friends, loved ones, work relationships, business affairs, so forth and so on. And I'd like to, and I'll read from chapter 1. It says, surveying the wreckage. Excuse me, that's my little doggy. So when it comes to surveying the wreckage of your life, you must be willing to look at the current situation with all eyes open. You must be honest in your view of circumstances. You must look at the wreckage with an unbiased perspective to truly see what is before you. It is never easy to look at your failures with a positive outlook, but you must. Past experience have colored our vision when it comes to failure. We see failure as a negative force of action that has led us to a dark place in which we cannot see the light at times. But to the contrary, failure is a good thing if we look at it with the right attitude and perspective. All failure is redirect our focus to see where and what we did wrong, so that we can correct the process and or rearrange some of the pieces to our puzzle to get that right and full picture of our sought after goals. Most of the time, our failures are a result of a slight in our applications. Somewhere along the line, we lost focus, tried to take a shortcut, or simply added the wrong elements to our recipe of successful ventures. Life is about making mistakes. Sometimes we must be pushed back so that we may gain a better view of the direction we are heading. All things come great from a continuous process of trial and error. You must see what is wrong to help you understand what is right. Every successful plan, product, or service had to go through a testing process to determine the validity of its effort. Idealism doesn't always align with reality. So therefore, you must understand that if your efforts don't yield the results you are looking for, it does not determine that your plans aren't good, nor that your goals aren't viable. It just means that you must go back to the drawing board. Therefore, reflection and evaluation are vital checkpoints in orchestrating the right purpose for your life. It is also very important and strategic that you be flexible. Life changes, things change, and at various stages, you change. What was good today may not be good tomorrow. Where you were today and where you are may not be good tomorrow. What's important today may become meaningless tomorrow. So therefore, you must understand that failure can happen due to all sorts of variables, controlled or otherwise. Any questions or any comments?
Wow, you have actually some powerful words. Even some of the things that you said that I've heard in the past that some people would think a cliche, but the way you added another word to it, it kind of just made me feel like, oh, I need to get about 2 workbooks because it takes me longer to learn. How you were like, stop looking outwards and start looking inwards. You hear that a lot, but then you added that for your outward. You know, you added that part to it. So I thought that was pretty dope right there. You've got a lot of sayings, that were pretty dope, and a lot of people here that have comments as well as questions. So I thought maybe I'd say some of those things that, like somebody said, thank you for speaking of the generational curses that we are, somebody was very, very excited about the words they were speaking. They said profound words. And they also had a question. What influenced the Just Image, Just Imagine title, Mr. Roberts?
Well, the Imagine title came from, I was sitting back, I do a lot of reflecting. I find myself in nature a lot. And I was just thinking about a lot of times we hold on to so many things, that hinder us and prevent us from moving forward or from being free. It's almost as if we're in a prison cell and the guard has opened the door and let us free. But because we've been there so long and we've gotten so comfortable and we allow ourselves to just remain there, it's almost a form of Stockholm syndrome. What we love, what oppresses us, and that becomes who we are and what we do. So that's where that came from. If you can just imagine, and also a reflection of myself. Sometimes, I had to look at me and say, some things you just have to let go. And just imagine if you let go, because we imagine the negative, embracing the negative, the hurt, the pain. Just imagine if you just let it go. Just imagine. It's about taking a chance. What can you do? You can't do no worse than where you are now. All you can do is become better or do better.
Well, another question as well. What's your recommendation? Exactly the way they're asking it. What would you recommend when we could do as a society to truly help the homeless in our country?
Well, it's interesting. I'll be doing a paper next month, a presentation about homelessness. One thing people have to understand, first of all, you have to realize they're just an individual who happens to be experience homelessness. I was homeless. And when I was homeless, nobody ever knew, because fortunately, I wasn't, down and out on the street. I was living in my car and I was able to mask everything so well. But a lot of times, part of being homeless is not having that residence, that place to go to, that house. But a great part of it is the connectivity, the disconnect from family, friends, loved ones, sources, resources, support systems, and mechanisms that help sustain you, that help grow you, that help build you, that help guide you. Those are the things. And when I dealt with a lot of the homeless population, one of the things that they kept repeating to me was a lot of the systems and the programs in place aren't really asking them what they want. They're telling them what they want for them. So therefore, that's why we're in the working with homeless and trying to combat homelessness has been ineffective. Being a supervisor at a homeless shelter, working for the Commonwealth Catholic Charities in Richmond, Virginia, one of the oddest things that I've ever seen was we had an individual who, don't worry, I'm not, I understand HIPAA, I'm not giving up any information, so don't worry if anybody. But yeah, we had one individual, and individuals alike would do the same thing, but this one in particular guy I knew, we got him an apartment in a nice little area, and he would, every time I look up, he would be trying to sneak back into the homeless shelter. And at first I got upset, but then I had to step back and think, the Holy Spirit said, hold up, brother, sit back, you know, think about this man. And when I looked at the whole picture and put everything in perspective, I realized it was about the connectivity. Even, you know, even though these individuals were homeless, they had a bond. They had a commonality. They had a common thread that connected them. He wasn't alone. And even though they weren't like friends or family, they were a sort of adaptive family that they have become to him. And being in a home, a nice little place, apartment that was all his all by itself, didn't do the job. So we had to understand, and a lot of them would lose apartments. You know, one of the reports that, you know, when they put the reports, the cities and governments and the locales put the reports about homelessness, they'll tell you, yes, they're doing a lot of things. They're getting people into these apartments quickly or efficiently, but at the same time, they're not telling you that these people are losing these apartments due to the ineffective or the lack of services and support systems and mechanism that needs to help solidify and hold homelessness to a higher degree. Give it some high grade programming, some high grade support system, some high grade resource management. Because until we do, then, because the majority of folk who are running these big corporations or who are in charge of everything, policies and what have you, have never experienced homelessness, and they've never sat down and asked a homeless person, what do you want for your life? So that's where we have to get to. We have to get to a point to start asking people what it is that they want and understanding what it is that they need for their life, not telling them, dictating a prescription to them.
Okay, we got time for a couple more questions. There was actually a comment that somebody made that was thanking you. She has a veteran friend who's exactly going through the same thing, and she supports him and understands, but didn't really grasp it because didn't see the entire picture, you know, until you started breaking it down a little bit here. So there, you know, that was a blessing there. And somebody also said, thank you, awesome book. Blessings to you, Mr. Robert Davis. And then I love how you took the power out of the word failure. Are a lot of your writings influenced by working previously in the social human services field, or was there other experiences that you might have had outside of that you wrote about?
Well, the majority of it is interesting. It's like my artistic background, because I'm a spoken word author, poet, I'm an actor, and I like to take my words and combine them. I call it using my words to communicate a vision seen. And I like to use my words in a creative fashion, but at the same to grasp and enlighten you and attract and draw the person in. But at the same time, I use simple and profound words. I don't try to use, try to show people how educated I am or use big words, know people I know how to read and all that. Because sometimes you need a simple, basic conversation. And that's what the book is. It's almost like a basic, simple conversation that anybody can understand. A 10-year-old could actually read the book and understand it and apply it. So it's for everybody. And it's personally designed to fit you, to develop a profile for your specific needs that no one else can copy or mimic. So.
Real quick before we start to move on with our next writer as well, all the places that we can locate your books, your workbooks as well, and then the things that you're doing with the foundation and things like that too, where we could, if anybody wanted to kind of join in and help, where could they be able to do these things at with you?
Okay. Well, you can reach me at Facebook, the Soul Project, or also Facebook at Robert Davis. And also you can reach me on Instagram at Seeking Opportunities to Win. You can contact me directly for the book, or you can go to thebookpatch.com. But if you go on my website, go on my page at Facebook, you'll have there's a button that you can pay and get the book. And anybody can contact me, because what I want to do is connect with a lot of organizations, because this is really a ministry. And what I do, the book is $20. And what I do, every book that someone purchases, I give a book away. So that's my commitment to the book. And I'm really just trying to get this book out, get this word out, get it in as many people's hands as I can. Because the better we are able to help build ourselves up individually, the better we're able to build ourselves up communally. And thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Roberts. That's really awesome. The 2-for-1 deal, that's great, because there's times where I'm like reading a book and I really like it, and I want like somebody to read it with me, and they won't, like, I'll mention it, they're all excited about it and everything, I'll tell them a little bit about it, and they won't purchase it, right? So then I'm like, okay, did you get it? And then I don't do much because they don't want to do it, but you know they want to, but maybe that taking the initiative and just being able to give somebody another book, or just being able to bless some other people that weren't able to purchase that. I think that's pretty awesome. That's very noble of you.
Sometimes the book is not
and
even for you.
I'm pretty excited.
Sometimes the book is not even for you. Sometimes it's not even for you. You might just know somebody that you can purchase it for.
Exactly. Bless somebody else.
Sowing seeds.
Right. Thank you for your time, Mr. Roberts.
All right. Thank you, Abella.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So right now, we're going to bring another co-host in back to